Alrighty, you guys, tight hip flexors. I know a ton of you guys have tight hip flexors. I hear people say this a lot. I have tight hip flexors. It leads to back pain for me, which a lot of the times is true. But what I see a lot of is we're just stretching our tight hip flexors, and a lot of the times not super effectively. One of the biggest reasons why we end up with tight hip flexors is because of the amount of weakness in our hip flexors and the fact that, of course, we're sitting a lot, puts it in that short position. It's short, but it's also very weak, which is creating some of that tightness too. So I'm going to show you guys one way that you can lengthen your tight hip flexors, and we're going to strengthen them, and then we're going to go over one really good stretch that hits it that a lot of people are missing. Very simple, requires no equipment for that stretch. I'm going to show it to you guys. We're going to start with the first exercise that's going to lengthen that muscle and get some strength back to it. Then we'll go into the second one. All you need for that, a little glute band, and then finally the stretch. So let's take a look at that. We're going to focus on doing this on the left side. Obviously, you can repeat it on the right side. So what we want to do is anchor our foot under a heavy dumbbell, heavy enough that it's not going to lift up on you. It's probably not like a 25 or something. This here we have is a 50. Then you're going to sit down onto this bench. We're going to focus on this hip flexor. So what we're going to do, we're going to bring this knee up, and we're just going to let our body come back, and then we're going to pull ourselves back up. We're not going to throw our weight. We're going to try and use this hip flexor to control that movement down and back up. So as I start coming back, it's now under tension and in that relatively short position. And as I come back, it's getting longer, still under tension. Then I bring that back, so now I'm contracting that same muscle. So that's what we're going to do as a first exercise. You want to do about 10 or 12 of them. I'll do a couple here for you guys to watch and see what's happening here. So you can imagine how challenging that is. Basically, that whole load is on this side, a little bit into my core, but a lot of it coming into that deep hip flexor and putting it under stretch with load, which will help strengthen and lengthen that muscle. That's going to help a lot get that strength back. Then we're going to move on to using a band. So you guys have probably seen this one, but we're going to change it just a little bit. So you're going to put it around your legs, grab onto something, put it just a little bit of a forward lean into that, come up, hold this as high as you can get that knee for about 3 seconds, back down, 1, 2, 3, back down. You're going to do that until you're getting a fair amount of fatigue in there, or you can't hold it up for 3 seconds. Probably going to look at about 10 to 15 reps of that. And the last one is a very simple stretch. A lot of the times we're putting stretch on it, but we're not actually really getting into those deep hip flexors. We're contorting our body to make it feel like we're kind of getting into there, but we're moving around it a lot. So again, we're going to focus on this left side. And the muscle we're focused on is essentially attaching kind of high up on your femur here, your upper leg bone, then coming kind of through and attaching on your lumbar spine, but on the front side of it. So it's kind of running here. So a couple things that we can do when we're looking at stretching it is we want to create more distance, more length between those two positions. So one thing that we can do to do that in a very small way is rotate this leg out. The other thing we could do is rotate our spine this way. And then also getting this leg behind is going to add length to that. And same with getting our body stretched out, getting extension through our spine and through our leg. So we're going to actually combine all 4 of those together, one little piece at a time. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to split stance here, and we're going to try to have this this leg out behind our body. So we want to make sure that our hips aren't like this, that they're actually tucked under us, because if they're like this, it's going to change that angle just a little bit, and it's these small little changes that will help you get the bigger stretch there. So tucking that pelvis under, making sure that leg's going out back. Now we're going to try and get extension through our upper body, but we're not just going to crank our head back and go like this. We're going to try and get a better extension, basically, where we're not cheating it, same as if we're dumping our hips. So we're going to lock that in. That's step 1. Arms are going to come up. Head's going to stay where it's at. We're not going to let it go back like this and look up. We're going to keep locked in at the hips. Then we're going to come, arms are going to go back. Head's going to stay where it's at, and you're going to start to feel a stretch through the front of here. The next thing that we can do on its own, or we can combine these two a little bit more, is we're going to go straight up with this arm. This one is going to end up coming across like that. But because I said just rotating this outwards, we're going to get a stretch. And just by rotating this way, we'll also get a stretch. We're now going to try and combine those two things. So without actually rotating it out like this, we're going to keep it there, but we are going to keep the idea in our head that we're trying to turn this foot out, even though it's remaining planted. It's going to create just the tiniest bit of rotation in that hip for us. So we're going to do that now. Same thing, legs still back, hips are still tucked under. We're now thinking rotating that foot out. So you can see that without moving much of my foot itself, just by thinking about that and trying to do that, how we see that shift in what's happening at my hip and my femur here. So now that we've done that, this hand's going to go straight up. That's going to help us get that little bit of extension in. Then this one's going to come around. We're going to go about 45 degrees, and that's going to get us that rotation. And now you should feel plenty of stretch through that area, so you can come in and out of that. And that's a very simple stretch. Instead of trying to get this big deep stretch where we're adjusting our body to try and get around our shortnesses, we're actually not moving it that much, but we're getting a very good stretch through there by thinking about that rotation here, rotation this way, and double extension back through the leg and our spine. And that's going to get you an effective stretch in there. And then you can pulse in and out of it. So if we're just doing this portion where we're walking our hips in and coming to here, we can come in and out of that a bit. And if we're doing this one, we can come in and out of it as well. So again, you're going to do the dumbbell first, do that for about 10 to 12 reps of that, and slowly coming back and forward using just that hip primarily. Then you're going to go to the band and finally finish off with that stretch. I would actually suggest doing that stretch a couple times every single day if you have really tight hip flexors that bother you a lot. Because we spend so much time sitting, the more that we can break that pattern throughout our day and get into that position and stretch it, the more benefit we're going to have, because we're kind of breaking that cycle throughout the day. So if you guys have more questions on the hip flexors or any other areas, drop it in the comments, let me know. If you have really tight hip flexors and you give this a try, let me know how your experience went. Let me know if any questions are coming up, if I missed explaining anything for you guys, and I will clarify it all in the comments for you guys. Enjoy that. I hope your hip flexors are feeling a little bit better after and reducing your back pain for you.